Hello, Tamara here from Poshcat Crafts. Welcome to my world. Today's video is part 5 in my series of videos that go through a step-by-step in using the new Tonic Studios Memory Book 2 dies. If you stumbled upon this video and you want to watch from part 1, then I will put the link here to part 1 there, and then that goes through making the spine to then attaching the front and back covers. Then it goes on to showing you how I make up the different pages. This series of tutorials that I'm making is based on a memory book that I made for Tonic Studios for their launch show that was on Hochanda, and I was asked by a number of people to make a tutorial on how I made that book. So apart from a few changes, the book is very much the same. So we'll be making up pages 5 and 6, sorry, not 5 and 6, we'll be making up pages 7 and 8 in this video, and on those pages I used this die here, which is the Surprise Bouquet, and it is like an envelope, so you can have an envelope or you can make it into like invitations. So we're going to be using that die, and we're also going to be using the memory book maker number 2, no sorry, the first one, which is this one here. We'll be using that as well. So with all the videos in this series, we need to start with our making and cutting out of our pages. Now, as I stated in the previous videos, I'm using the second sized die in the collection, and this measures 5 1/4 by 7 1/4, and this particular die fits nicely on one A4 piece of paper, so you can get one page out of this one piece of paper. So I'm just going to turn on my Gemini and we can get started. So you need to cut out 2 of these dies, because what happens is they get stuck together once we've decorated them. So let's get die cutting. And that's my second piece. And as in the previous videos, we need to chop off this excess card here. So about 1/8 of an inch after the stitched line. So line it up and then trim down. So that's our pages cut. Our next job is cutting out our pattern paper. Now I've already chosen the layer die, which is just the die down, and it also comes in the set. So you get the pages and then you get the layer dies that go with it, and they're just slightly smaller and they just fit underneath that stitched embossed line. Okay, so they're a perfect fit. So I've chosen my pattern paper. I'm using the Graphic 45 Botanical Tea collection. So if you remember again, if you've got directional paper, make sure you cut it the way you want your die to sit. So if I was doing a landscaped album, I would have my paper sort of landscaped that way, so that the paper is going the correct way. So I'm going to just pick where I'm going. I think I'm going to have that part there, although that looks really nice there. No, I'm going to stick with the lady. That's our pattern paper cut. So that is then our base page done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out our envelope. So you'll need the big die in that, which is the template. I'll put it on that way and maybe see it a bit better. So that's the envelope template, and on the previous book I made, I did this. Okay, we're going to cut out our envelope now. This is from the Surprise Bouquet die set, and you can make envelopes with it, you could make invitations, you could make invitation wraps with these. You could just use the square in the middle, which you can cut out, and then you can make some tags with that, your inserts in your invitation. So it's not just an envelope, is what I'm saying. You can use it for a whole lot more. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it out of the cream card. Now I've changed my plates and taken out the metal shim and put in the magnetic sheet, only because I want my die to stay in place. I don't want it to move. So that's going to go on there like that. And so I'm going to cut some of that off, and I'm going to try and put through the other die as well. Cut that off, that can go on there. And then I'm going to cut out the verso die, which is this one here, and we're going to then adhere that in a minute. So get that into the position you want, and then you need to trim your card. I'm using this pearl card. It's like a linen effect. It's lovely. You can just see the shine there, look. Which is and it's pearlized on both sides. So that can go on like so. And then we need our top sheet. Put that in. Right, let's just die cut these. Just get rid of all those little tiny bits. Just take that out very carefully. Now these tonic dies are really good. I don't think I've had one die that doesn't cut, because some dies that you can buy you have to put through your machine about 3 or 4 times and put different shims in to get the different pressure, but these seem to cut perfect all the time. Okay, so there's that. I'm just going to give my die a whack just to get rid of those little tiny pieces. Okay, that in there, put that off. I don't need that one anymore. And we're going to cut the others because I need 2 of these. So you need to cut 2 of the decorative elements. Again, just line it up so that it is as equal as you can get it. Then I'm going to just put that there. Get my top plate. That's our other decorative element. Now it's just these tiny little bits that just need to be popped out. There we are. And there you can see. Oh, I'm sorry, I do keep going over this way. I'll have to actually, if I move that round there, that'll probably be better. There we are. Right, so that's our other decorative edge that we're going to use. So with our base, we are going to fold onto the back side. So this is like your negative side of your die. I call this the negative because we don't use this side, and then this is the positive, which is, it's all got your nice rounded corners and edges and things. So what we need to do is we just use the score lines that are there and we fold them down like so. Now these flaps, we can fold them back towards the back of our project because we're not going to see them. So what I would do with them is I would just put some double-sided tape on them. So one of double-sided tape just to keep the flaps down. And then what we're going to do, I haven't decided yet whether or not to use to either create this as a flap or to use it as a little pocket. I haven't decided what we're going to do yet. So my crafting is very much on the hoof. I tend to find if I prep something or try and do something a certain way, it never seems to turn out, so I try and do it as freely as I can. Okay, so let's get rid of that red line tape. So again, just stick these down like so, and then that one like so. So that is now what we're going to see on the front of our page. Okay, so our decorative elements can go on. So we're going to put one here and then one the other side like so. Okay, let's just glue them down. Now I'm going to use the trick that Jodie Johnson does, because I really don't know any other way of how to get glue onto the back where it sticks, especially on these little tiny bits. So thank you for that tip. Right, that's it, stick that down. Now you could also use the double-sided sticky sheets that you get, and what you could do with that is this particular, or this die comes with a die that you can cut out whole, so you can cut out the layer that goes sort of on to your project. Well, you could cut that maybe out of your double-sided sheet and then cut your decorative edge out, and then that would then adhere to the double-sided sheet, and then you could glitter in between, so that would give you another effect if you wanted to use that with that. And this is a box that I did in a workshop, and we did that with this. So we cut out the full die with the double-sided sheet, and then cut out the decorative die in the black, and then we stuck the two together, and then with the sticky parts that were showing, we just glittered in between, and it just gives it an absolutely lovely effect. And see, I use different colour glitters, so you know, that's another effect you could use for this. So we've done those, we've stuck our decorative edge down, and what we're going to do is we're going to use some magnets for this. So we're going to put one magnet on this side and one magnet on that side, and then I'm going to cut out the layer, and then that can layer over the top, and then that will hide then our magnet. Okay, we're going to stick our magnets on. Now we're going to put one side. Now these magnets are 10 millimeters by, I think, 2 millimeters. These magnets get everywhere. There we go. But that is actually going to go underneath. So there we go. That just sits nicely. Okay. Now that might be a bit big for the paper, but that doesn't, it's not a problem. We can give it a go. Okay, so we're going to cut our paper. Now I'm going to cut it our full layer out of this pink card. So that's one, and then that is going to go on there like so. So I might put that on now. And I just need to get one of those. I might use another clip on the other side. It's just around where the magnet is, it's just to keep it closed. So that the paper actually sticks. Then we need to cut one more out to go on the other side. Okay, let's try this one. But that fits, I think, just like so. Then we're just going to stick this down. Now this may just fit over that magnet, but that's not, you're not going to see this, so it doesn't really matter. Actually, what I may do is take that magnet off and just put it on the outside. It doesn't look too out of place, so I think that's what we'll do. We'll just put it there and close it up. Hopefully that's in the same place. So there we are. And then once that sticks, that will be good to go. Although again I seem to have made a right pig's ear of that. There we go. That's crafting for you. There's no mistakes, only happy accidents, as they say. Okay, so this is now going to be the, we're going to put that on this square on here. We're going to actually adhere this one down, but this one we're actually going to make our label out of. Okay, like so. Okay, so that is now looking pretty good. Now, I'm hoping that that will stay. Right, and then when that's dry, I will go over with my glue rubber and just take off that excess glue. I know these don't look the most glorious things they are, but they are so good. If you've not got one, you need to get one. They are glue rubbers, and what they do is they take off, if you're quick, they take off, you know, if you get little tiny bits of glue, like if you with your finger marks and things like that, if you've got them on your project, then they're brilliant for getting that excess glue off that you don't want. As you can see now, that magnet is now virtually clean, and it's all because of this manky looking object. So that's our closure done. I think I'm going to close it that way. I don't know why, I just prefer things that close to the left rather than the right. I think it might be to do with being right-handed, I don't know. Right. And then the best thing about this glue, once you've had it on your hand, is the peeling it off. Okay, so that then is our start. So we are now going to make our sort of invitational tag. I'm going to call it a tag that sits in the middle of our envelope, and then we can close it like so. So on one side I'm going to put some pattern paper, and then the other side I'm going to put just the cream. This is the one I'm going to use. We need to measure the square. So it measures just over, so it's 4 1/8. So we're going to cut our paper at. So I'm going to use my trimmer. There, that's a bit better of a border. So let's glue this down. Like so. Give it a bit of a wiggle room. Okay, so that's that side. Then we're going to do the 3 3/4. 3 and right, that's too small. Okay, 3 3/4. Like that. By 3 3/4 again. gives us our back, like so, and stick that down. There we go. And then that is our tag that will fit inside our little envelope, and it will then stay inside. So that's for that. Now, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to I think we will keep that like so, and then have our tags coming out the top. So if I push that down a bit further, now what I could do is I could use some nice ribbon to tie around the middle. What colour to use? Oh, let's see. That's quite nice. Shall we go with that? I've got loads of these MDF ribbon holders that I bought, and I store all my ribbon on these in a drawer, and it's so much more easier to find what you're looking for. The only thing is, it took me days to wrap all my ribbon nice and neatly around my reels, like so. But then I would sit and do it when the you know, there's something good on TV. I would sit and do it then, so I didn't waste any time. Okay, so we're just going to put our ribbon around the back. Now I'm going to tie it in place, and then I'll fix it at the back. Now this ribbon, there we go. Okay. Now we didn't need to tie the ribbon, but I just think it adds a nice touch. There we go. I'm not going to tie a perfect bow just at the minute because we're still fiddling with it. So I won't take that off. So what I'm going to do now is just put our double-sided tape across the middle there. Take our tape off and then glue down. Okay. Ooh, we'll get there eventually. Okay, so that is then that part done. We've just now got to do the tags and that go behind, and then stick the page, the pattern paper down. Okay, so that's then our ribbon. I might just make this a little bit shorter. Oh, this is not very good for that. I've got a pair of scissors that I just use for material, and that I have my mum to thank for that, because she always used to say, I don't know if anybody else is the same out there, but if you used your mum's scissors, she'd say, hey, we haven't cut paper with them, and you'd go, no, I haven't, knowing full well that if she found out, you'd be in trouble. So stick that bit down, like so, and then this is going to then sit on the front like that. Then we're going to have our tags that go here behind. I might actually make another one of these little not to say the little square tags. I might make another one, but using the decorative verso that goes in there. But we'll adhere it first and do the other tags, and then we'll do that. So I want now this one. Let's have a look which die will fit. Ooh. Don't know if it's that one. That one might be too big. Yeah. So that's the next size down. Yep, that one fits just perfectly. Okay. But we're going to turn it round this way. Now, the reason why I've done that is on the back we have where we've stuck the extra envelope label, so the envelope tabs, we've stuck them back. Now I didn't want my envelope to be that way up, because when we come to put our tags in, they'll get stuck on the lip there. So if you turn your envelope round and stick it down so it's like that, when you put your tag in, it's not going to get stuck. Okay, like so. Right, so let's put our double-sided tape down, and then I'll just make sure that that then fits. There we go. Yes, that's just perfect. Okay, right, let's take our tape off. Take our tape off, and then we can stick that down like so. Now you could stick it on a bit of a jointy angle if you wanted to, like that. I kind of let's do that. I kind of did that in the other book, so I'm going to stick it a bit further down and stick, and then we can put our tags in like so. Now that's getting stuck because that's metal. That's it's the magnets. I think that's it. Yeah. This one is the other collection. This is the Memory Book Layered Cascading die set, and this one was made especially to coordinate with the base memory book. Okay, so I'm going to cut a couple of these out. I'm going to cut a few out in the cream and a few out in black. We can then use our pattern paper as well. there's our last pattern paper one cut out. Just going to move everything out of the way again. Move that down there. Okay, right, we just need to cut off the excess paper off our page die. So I need my trimmer. And okay, just about there. That's one. Two. And last one, three, because we did three. Okay, so that's our three dies that we've, sorry, the three tags. Okay, I did one of these, I cut one of the layer dies out in the cream because I thought that's going to go on the back of the pink one, like so. And then we're going to add our paper, and I may do a few more of the white ones, like so. And then that one is going to go on there like so. So that's our three dies. Now I think what we'll do is I'm going to cut out, I have the little tab dies as well that I'm going to use. I might cut them out of another pearl cup. Actually, I've got some here. I have some here already cut out, look, so I could just use those as well. It might go on like there, just to add that little bit more extra to it. So let's put that, let's glue down. So glue that on the back. Like that. And then I think I prefer them outside rather than in. Actually, they look quite nice either way. Let's put them in for a change. I'm always putting them out, so let's put them in. I suppose it's just making sure they're in the middle is what you need. That's pretty middly to me. Okay. Then there we are. I'm just going to poke that hole out, and then I will put some ribbon through that. Put this in place. So that's one and two. I'm going to leave this one out. So it's this one now. Like so. And then this one on the pink. And then we're going to put our tabs. And there. And then push that one down. Poke the hole up. Just to take some of the glue. With it being mirror card, the glue just finds it. There we are. And then the last one, that can come out there, and there. Okay, and then, oh, that's not centre. So then there are our tags, and then they are going to fit in, I'm going to leave, so they're going to then fit inside, or behind should I say, not inside, behind our envelope, like so. Can we see? And then you can pull these out and use them in whichever way you want. And then you open this, and then you've got another tag inside. Page 8. For page 8 we're going to do something like this. Okay, so you need your chosen cardstock that you're using, and then we need to cut out 2 of the layer dies. Okay, so that's those cut out. So we've got a base page, and then we have 2 of the layer dies. So if I can just show you there, they just go over like so. We now need the next size down from this die, and that is the next page metal die. So it is this one. So we're going to need this one because this is going to layer over the top of this die here. So it's going to be a little bit like so. So that's our die, and then this one is going to layer over the top like that. Okay, so if we need to cut 2 of these out. We actually need to cut 4, but if we just cut 2 out for the time being, because the other 2 are going to be on the flip side. So let me just put this one back so that I don't lose it. Take that one out. And then get our pattern paper. So this is called Flora, and this one is Robin's Egg. Okay, I just like the 2 because they kind of match, the 2 don't. So let's get cutting. So we're going to cut out this die. So this needs to be cut out twice. So I'm going to just see whether or not I can get, yes, that'll be perfect. But I need to make sure I've got them the right way round. So let me just cut this down. Like so. Okay. So I'm going to take this down because, again, I don't want it to move and then I run out of paper. So I'm just going to take one side down. What you need to do is you also need to cut out one of the smaller base pages in your cardstock. This is then going to be cut down to act as your secret pocket, okay? But first of all, we need to just trim off the excess of each of the pages that need it. Just get that trimmer. One. Two. And this one makes three. Can I just trim a little bit more off that one? Just a tiny bit. There we go. Right, so that's all our pages cut down to what we want. So now what we need to do is we're going to trim down the layer pages. So this is what's going to make our flap. Okay, so it's going to go like so. Okay, so we're going to cut this one down to about 5 inches and we're going to measure to the bottom of the card. So we want that to be at least 5 inches and then trim down. So that's our top layer, and then the bottom one, make that 4.5 inches. And a half is just there, and then that should hopefully give me enough space to put my magnets. So keep the offcuts that you haven't used to one side because they may come in handy for something else. Okay. So this is how we're going to do it. So this is going to fit onto our card like so. And then this one is going to fit onto the card at the bottom like so. So let's do now our hinge strips. So you'll need your cutting board, your trimmer and your scoreboard. So for the hinges, we're going to measure. I'm going to measure from point to point. And this is the most silliest ruler ever. It's okay if you want to work with centimetres because that's at the top, but if you want to work in inches it's a bit difficult. Right, so we're going to cut a hinge strip that measures 3 7/8. So we need 3 7/8 by 1 inch. So 3 7/8 by 1 inch. And I need 2 of these. So 1. So 2. Trimmer aside. Now for the scoreboard, and you need to score your hinge strips at 1/2 inch. Okay, it's 1, and then the other one at the 1/2 inch as well. Then fold. So you need to fold them in half up the score line. And again, this one. The next thing you need to do is we're going to cut the corners off of our hinge strip, and we're going to cut them off at an angle. So if you're right-handed, you hold your paper in your left hand, and if you're left-handed, you'll hold your paper in your left hand. So if you, because I'm right-handed, I'll show you that one. So you hold your hinge in your left hand, and then you angle your scissors at a diagonal, so the scissors come up to your left hand, if you can see, like that. And then we're just going to cut a slither off the corner at a diagonal. So we go from the bottom to the point at the top of the hinge, like so. So that is what we've cut off. And you see, let me put you down, then you can see just how much. There, that's how much you need to cut off. So it's not an awful lot. It's just so that the corner of your hinge it's not bulky at the corners, and it just makes for a neater edge. So you need to do that with both of them. And if I open them up, you can see that it creates like a arrow head, whereas if you did, let me just take one of these and cut that off. So if you've got a straight edge like that, if you brought your scissors in from this way, what you do is you create like a fish tail, like so, or a flag tail. I don't really know what you'd call that. So you can see the difference. This is the right way and this is the wrong way. Okay, right, so that being done, we need to get our base page and the 2 flaps that we have got. Now we've cut these down. These were our 2 layer dies that we layer pieces that we cut. So I've cut them, 2 of them both down to, this one is 5 inches and then this one is 4.5 inches. Okay, so the 5-inch one is going to be our top flap, and then the 4.5 inches is going to be our bottom flap, so they fit like that. So for our hinge strips, we need to put the hinge, now you see that's just a little tad too big. I'm just going to chop some of that off. There, that's a bit better. Okay, you might find that yourself. You might find that they will be just maybe a little bit too long, so just chop a little bit off the ends. Okay, so that's perfect for me. So as you can, I don't know if you can see there, I'll move it up a little bit, then you can see the black, like so. Should have done this in white, then you could have seen. Okay, so that's one edge and that's the other. We're going to put our double-sided tape onto the outside of our hinge. So let's start with this side. Now I'm going to overlap it because I've got a little bit something stuck on my double-sided, so I'll just need to chop that bit off there. And that side, throw that in the bin, and then just burnish down. Okay, now we're going to stick that one on. So this would be the front of our page, and then stick the hinge on. We need to do it where the hinge strip is on your mat as like a mountain, so you've got the mountain fold sticking up like so. Okay, that's the mountain fold. If I turn it over, that there is the valley fold. Okay, so we want the mounting fold facing upwards. You need to stick your hinge onto the back side, your wrong side of your paper. So, and then when you get it, try and butt it so that the edge of the paper is just touching the score line. Okay, and then burnish down. Okay, can you see that? You see it a bit better there. So it was just butted up to the score line. Okay, so that's one. Then we're going to attach it to our base page. Now this is where I wanted to have the decorative page cut out, because I wanted to see whether or not, yes, it would work. So that's good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our double-sided tape on the outside again of our hinge strip. If I can find the end. There we go. So again on the outside. Okay, take the double-sided off. Now what we're going to do is we want to get this as central as possible, and I haven't really found an easy way to do this. This is about the easiest I can find, so I'm going to have to work this way. Now what we're going to do is we need to place it so that the edge of the top of your flap is as central as possible, but as near to the stitched embossed lines as it can be. Okay, so I think that is about right. Hold on, it's okay. Let's try it again and try and get it as straight as you can. That's there. Okay, and then just burnish down from underneath. Okay, there. I'm quite happy with that. That's quite a good fit. Okay, so you can see, so that's the line. Right, now we're onto our bottom page. We need to get that as in line with the top flap as you can. Now I have just noticed that my top flap is a little bit out of line, so to compensate I'm going to bring that up just a tiny bit. There we go. I think that is right. There we are. That's better. I've got it now. So there we are. Burnish it down. So my top and my bottom flap are in line. Now the top flap I'm going to have come over the bottom one, I think. Yes, I am. Or that way. No, I might do it that way actually. No, we'll go that way, I think. No, it's going to go that way. I'll get there in the end. So we've now got that done. If you wanted to, you could decorate this edge, which I think we may do. Let's do. I'm going to decorate, because I've stuck mine together, I'm going to use a hole punch. So I'm going to go with that punch there. Okay. Now everybody must have decorative punches in their stash. This one is just a bit, I've obviously had it on my counter when I've been using ink sprays, because it's a bit speckled. So I'm going to do the bottom one. I don't know whether I'll do the top. I might not. So we're going to do the bottom, and let's just punch this out. So I'm just going to turn this over and place it in like so, and then I can punch up. Let's turn it over, and again. Get it so it is nice and level. You don't want it to be uneven. And punch down. And then I've got the last little bit, which punch down. So that's a quick decorative edge. Okay, see that there? If you have a die border, you could put it in afterwards if you wanted to, because this is flat and it's not going to go, because you're only going to be cutting that side. So you could do it that way as well. So I'm going to do, shall I do the bottom? Let's do the bottom one. We might as well do them all. So let us start with that. One more. Hopefully that should be it. There we go. So then that's our top edge. So that just gives a quick and easy decorative edge to your projects. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our, I think it needs to go that way. Yeah, that needs to be on the top, because that's what it is on my one at the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add our secret pocket, like this one here. You see, it's like, I'm going to take that out, you wouldn't even know that's there. So we're going to put that in there like so. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to use, so the next page, album page down from our main album, we're going to use that die, which is this one here. So it sits in on our packet if you've got a magnetic sheet. If not, I would suggest you get some of these magnetic sheets. I store all my dies on these in these plastic wallets, and it just makes it so much easier. So what I do with mine is especially this, because it's an A4, so I use an A4 sheet of the magnetic sheet, and then I put just a plain piece of cardstock behind, and then that keeps it rigid so they don't bend as much. But you can then place them on here, and they're just easy to see. So with that explanation out of the way, right, so this would be what your dies would look like. So like so, and we use this one here. So you have the biggest die, then you have the die that we've used to cut our album out, which would go in there. And then we've got the page die, and this is what we're using here, this one here. This is going to be for our layer, okay, that's going to go on there. So we've cut out our base, our double-sided sheet of cardstock, so that's going to go on there like so. But before we do that, we need to cut down our label, we need to cut the cardstock. So measure where you want it to go. Now you can have it coming so it's halfway down, but I would suggest, if you do, maybe have it going from as near to the top as possible, so that when we put this on you haven't got too much of a gap. So it could be, if you have it like, say, like this, like so, you've got a huge gap at the top there, which we don't want, and then your album is going to sit in there like so. Right, so I'm going to just trim this off because we want the straight edge. So we want to cut from the top because we want to keep this bottom bit. So if we do it from the top, I'm going to cut there. So if I use my pokey tool just to mark, okay, so let me just measure that. So that is roughly 3 inches down to this point here. So it's 3 inches from this point here. Okay, so it's not right to the edge, it's to this point, so 3 inches to that point. Right, so let's cut this one down. There we go. Keep this one because we could use it for a pocket somewhere else. So let's put that on like that. Okay, so that's looking good. And then we're going to cut this one down because this is exactly the same, so we're going to cut that down to the same, so 3 inches again. Okay, let's just get that. Let me just mark this at 3 inches, which is there. And right, I'm going to use the back side of the flower paper that I've used. So I'm just going to place that down like so. I'll tape it, then I'm just going to cut the top bit. And then put this to one side. Right, so that's our base pattern paper cut. So that's going to go on there like that. Right, so with those two cut, we cut them at 3 inches and we measured to the point here. Okay, so that was 3 inches to that point. And then the same with the patterned paper. So we put the pattern paper right over the top. Now that's then going to give you our secret pocket. Now you could, if you wanted to, which I might do actually, is glue them together, and then once they're glued together you could then add your decorative border. Okay, let's glue them together. Just going to move you over, but you keep moving. Okay, let's stick these down. Just going to use my glue rubber. I always tend to get it on my fingers. There we go. Okay, so that's our pocket. Now when we put the pocket down, I was going, let's cut it, let's have a cut. It doesn't work, it's only a bit of paper. Okay, I used my corner punch, sorry, not my border punch, and I've punched the decorative edge. Now, I didn't have enough strength in my hands to go through the paper and the cardstock. Right, so we're going to put our pocket on there. Remember, we're just going to put down the side and around the corners, the bottom, around that corner and up the side again. So like so, and then stick down. Take off any excess glue. Okay, it's just taken off that excess glue. I didn't want it showing, so let me just put my tag in there like that, and then I just need to then use my binder, metal binder clip, just to help the cardstock grab, but I want it to have sort of like a domed effect so that you can put your tags in like so. It's just that top bit there needs that extra bit of help, or maybe the bottom as well. Pull that up a bit. I think I put it down too far. Okay, so that's the front bit of our page done. We're now on to putting our magnets on. Now the magnets I'm going to put on this side, on the back of the secret pocket and on the front of our top flap. Okay, so we can do that now. Now I would suggest using a few, if you've got smaller magnets, I would put 4 lots of dies on. If you've got the bigger magnets, then 1 should be enough. Now I say we're going to put 2 on because these are only small, they're not very strong magnets. I kind of bought them and didn't read up on them, so that's why I'm using the 2, is they haven't got very strong magnetic force. So 1 there, and 1 the other side, as near as possible. Now I might just let that set for a minute. So while that's setting, we can put the layer down onto our card. Now that's just fit perfectly. Now can you see the hinge is being covered, it's been hidden by our pattern paper, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Now that is the right one. Now I think I did it that side, didn't I? Yes. I was thinking, I keep harping on about making sure that your page, your pattern paper is the direction that you want it to go, and I'm thinking I've just cut my paper the wrong way, but I'm going to use this side. So there we go. Again, you just take off that excess glue. There we go. So that's those done. So then we need to get our tape. I'm going to use tape on this occasion to put my other magnets on the I can't think what I'm thinking of, the opposite. Oh, I keep getting out of shop, I do apologise. Move that there, and then I can sit there. There we go, is that a bit better? Yes. Okay, just take that bit off, and that bit, because that's a bit big, that. Put it down, and then the next one, go on there. Just going to put a touch of glue onto that, and then fold it over. I'm going to get my pokey tool in there, and hopefully right, I'm going to leave that for a little while to hopefully set, and then I will be able to get the two off. So let's just leave that to set for a second. What we need to make these tags here. Now you can use anything, you don't have to use these dies. You can use whatever you have in your crafty stash. You could even just cut out a rectangle and make a book that way. I just liked, when I was making up this book, I just liked that effect that it gave you, that sort of edge, decorative edge. I liked it, so that's why we're using these. So for these dies you're going to be needing the decorative Rivoli layering die set, and then just the layered Rivoli layered die set. Now I do apologise if that's not the right pronunciation, I tried. So out of these dies you're going to need the die, especially out of the decorative one, you're going to need the die that has got the raised bumps around the edge. Now the raised bumps don't actually transfer onto your tag that you're going to use, because the cutting edge on this die is right in on the inside. Okay, now that is so that if you cut say one of the decorative dies out with that, you will get that decorative edge left. Okay, so if you wanted to just use the negative part of your die cut, you would see this as well. And then what we're going to use is the corresponding size of just the layered one, and then it's going to fit like that. Now it may look as though they're not going to give you a border, but they do, trust me. I can't say trust me, I'm a doctor, because I'm not. So we're going to cut out this die here 4 times, so you need 4 of these. base dies cut out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the layer ink die. That's the one with the bumps on the outside, and we're going to cut 2 in pattern paper and 2 in your cream cardstock. So I'm going to cut the cardstock one first. Right, I'm going to cut into this one. I didn't want to. Okay, I'm going to cut out the butterflies, I think. I think they look quite nice there. So let me cut the paper. I want to try and leave them, if I can. Oh, just about. Right. See what you mean? You see, you can see here that it leaves that stitched, embossed stitch line. It leaves that behind. Next thing is we need our hinge strips so that we can put our pages, our tags together so that they create a little book. Right, cut your card down to 4 5/8 of an inch and just check to see if that is the right size. Yes, that's going to be perfect for me. So 4 5/8 you need to cut your card. It then needs to be, you need to turn it around and cut it at 1 inch. And you need 2 of those. So 4 5/8 by 1 inch is what you're going to cut your structure strip, sorry, your hinge strips down to. Then you need to score at 1/2 inch, and again at 1/2 inch. Get rid of that. Oh, I need that back. And then reinforce that score line. So fold in half and reinforce that score line. And then just a slither of the diagonal off the corner, and again just a slither off the corner. Right, now let me see how I did these. Right, so we're going to put, so these are going to go valley fold, okay? So we're going to actually work on the back of the album. So I'm going to have the positive side of your die, of your paper, facing outwards. So this here is going to be your positive side, and then inside this is your negative. Okay, so we're going to work like that. So we need to put our double-sided tape on the outside again of our hinge strip, like so. And again like so, and burnish down. And then the second one, because we've made 2, we're going to make 2 of these books. again. Burnish down. Excellent. Okay. Then we take off one side of our double-sided tape. Remember, we're going to work, so we need the positive side facing upwards with your structure strip, your hinge strip in a mountain type position, okay, so that the score fold is also facing up, not inward like that, okay. And then again, just try and get it as near as centre as possible, pushing the edge of your tag into the score line. Okay. As the score line is raised, it creates like a lip, so you can't actually then go past that lip. Okay, you will get a little bit of it raised, but that you want it like that. So for the second one, for the other side, what we're going to do is we're going to put the tags together like so, and make sure that they are aligned, and then just press that fold closed, and there you have one little book. Okay, so let's do the next one. So if we take off one side of the double-sided tape, make sure that the positive side of your die is facing up, and that your hinge strip is in that mounting fold position. Okay, try and get your hinge strip as central as possible, and button it up to that lip of the score line, and then press down. Next side. Okay, again, line the two tags up so that they are in line. Okay, like that. And then push them down so that they are, then you've got your next little book. So we've already cut our pages out, so now we can just motor through and stick these together. Oh, sorry, not stick them together. We can then add our decorative features to our little tiny books. So I'm going to put the cream card in the middle, like so, and again, just double check that you're putting the glue on the correct side, and again on there, and just burnish them down. So that's that inside bit done. Then I think I've only cut out 2 of the pattern paper, but that's okay. We can cut the rest out at another time. Okay, pattern paper on. Okay, try and get the border as equal either side as you possibly can. I love these butterflies. And then we're going to turn it over. I'm going to use the green, I think. Although we could, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll use that on here. And then we'll cut a piece out in a minute. Okay, so that's that one. I think I'm only going to put one of our little booklets in. We can use that booklet at another time. So I think I've only really left enough space to do the one booklet. Okay, so that's our booklet done. Let's hope that these have stuck. Yes, they've now stuck down, so that's good. So we can then start by decorating our inside and our top flap. So we could, no, no, did we cut? Yes, we did cut, didn't we? But that one is going to be too short. That's a shame. But I think that was, yes. So this is for the top part. So we are going to cut a part of this off. So we're going to go from this way downwards. So we get this decorative feature at the top, and then this is just a straight line. Although you could decorate that line if you wanted to. Okay, so I'm just going to mark it at here, and then I may decorate. No, I'm not going to decorate it. We'll just cut it down so it's just there. Let's just chop that bit off. I didn't chop enough off. There we go. And then that fits on like so. Now I may cut just to slither off that. I didn't eyeball it enough. Yeah, that's better. That gives me more of a line that I wanted. Okay, so we can stick this down. Remember, put a little bit more glue onto your magnets just to help them adhere. And then we can then stick down our top piece like so. Pay special attention to where the magnets are so that the paper doesn't rise up where the magnets are. Okay, like so. So then that then closes up like so. And then we just need to do this side here. Right, what I've got is I've found some offcuts. I didn't really want to cut out two more of these dies, full dies, because we don't actually need all of it. So I'm going to just pick a nice part, and I think I'm going to go with that there. So if we just then stick that down. Right, so that's then our back pages cut. We've just now got to measure them and cut them down. So let me just clean out this trimmer. in our bag, in our bin. Okay, so I'm going to do this side first. So that's going to be on there like that, and then I'm going to trim to about there. I'm just eyeballing it because to try and keep measuring it is going to take a bit more time. You may want to measure if you prefer. And then we just need to chop off that excess because this is a page die. We have that edge that's a non-cut edge, so we just need to trim our paper down so that it will fit onto our base page. So I've not chopped enough off, so it's just a slither. So then that is going to go onto our page like so. Put some extra on our magnets, and then extra onto our page. Oh, wrong way. It goes that way. Phew, I nearly stuck it down the wrong way. Okay. So that is then that page. So we've now just got to take off that excess of the page for the top. Okay, again, just taking off that excess page, excess paper. And then what we need to do now is just again measure where we're going to have our paper to, and I think I'm going to take it to there. Trim, and then that is our top bit done. Right, so then we can close this bit up, close that bit up, and then we've got a sort of a secret pocket there for our tag. So we've done as much as we can now to that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our 2 pages into our book. So I'm just going to take that out for the time being because I want to have it as flat as possible. I'm going to take these out as well. There we go, just so that I have a flat book to work with. So this is how they'd look. So this is page 7, page 8. If you want to swap them round, you don't have to have them this way. You can have that as page 7 and this is page 8. It's really up to you, okay? So, but I'm going to keep it like that because that's what we've said in the video. So we're going to, I'm going to just take that bit out as well. So we're going to be attaching it to this one here. I've taken off the double-sided already. So we're going to put some double-sided tape onto our page. Now it's going to go like so. So this is going to be our hinge part that goes on, that sticks to the hinge, and these are the outer edges. So we're going to put some double-sided tape just on the bottom here, just to reinforce that double-sided that's already on the hinge. So that's one, and I'm running out of a double-sided. So that is 2 like that, and then we're going to stick one down and then the other. So let me take this off. Okay, and we are going to line it up so that the corners on the bottom of our page sit opposite or snugly up to the ends of the hinge, and then stick closed like so. And then I might just put a little bit of extra double-sided. You don't have to do this, I'm just going to put an extra bit on there like that. Finish that down. So and take it off. Right, take off your double-sided tape off your other page. No, sorry, don't do that. Stop. Okay, we first need to put our glue on. So our glue needs to go around the bottom and along the side. Don't do it at the top here, okay? So around the bottom and up the side. Okay, and then you can take your double-sided tape off and then line them up as near as you can, like so. So again, using the edge of the hinge as your guide, and then just very gently push the two together. Okay, try and get them so that they are equal at the top, or level should I say, at the top. Okay, and then push down like so, and then there we have our flip page with our secret pocket in there. So that is then our pages 7 and 8 completed. Yay, we've gotten it. We've got 2 more pages to make. So, and then we can get on to the nice part of decorating. Yay! Just move you around a bit. So, if you've liked this video, please give me a like and subscribe so that you can keep up to date with all my videos that I upload over the next couple of weeks. I've got quite a few videos in the pipeline, including another mini album that I've never done before, so that'll be exciting. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Pinterest, I'm also on Instagram, and I have a blog which is poshcatcrafts@blogspot.com. If you search me on social media, either Tamara Morton or Poshcat Crafts, I will come up in one of those searches. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Again, if you've liked this video, please share it as well. Share it to all your friends. I would be very grateful if you did. All I have to say now is thanks for watching and bye. Of there, and then that can tie up. Sorry, we had a daddy long legs just flew in and it frightened the life out of me.